All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome today. Thank you for joining us. Can my presenters, can you all see the slides that are up? The
Yes.
slides? Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So that's working great. So thank you all for coming today and for joining us for this state of tourism discussion and a chance for some community networking. We're super excited to have you here. My name is Sydney, and I'm the owner of Citrine Unlimited. I'm a part of Good Business Colorado. I am a tourism professional, as I like to call it. I do travel advising for folks and businesses, and then also some coaching and consulting. And I was really excited to see this happening, just to find out what's going on in Colorado with tourism. It's been very, I would like to say, disjointed, because we're doing things, county by county, or city by city. And so this is a chance to get some of the top professionals out there together and to just have a conversation on what they're doing and to find out more about what you all are doing to brainstorm. Before we get started, I do want to say that unfortunately Andrea with Chaffee County Public Health is unable to make it today, but we do have Corinne, who is in Chaffee County, who works closely with the public health department here, and she is a small business owner as well, so she'll be able to jump in and kind of talk about what she's been doing to work with her local public health department. So we will get started. How about this? Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the panelists. I'm going to get started by asking you all just to do an introduction, and we'll just go in order of our slides, but I would love to know who you are, like what's your organization, and how you could best serve businesses that are in the tourism sector. So we will get started with Abby. Go ahead, Abby.
Hi, thank you so much for putting this together. I'm excited to join you all and talk about the state of tourism in Colorado. So my name is Abby Leeper. I am the communications manager with the Colorado Tourism Office. And what the CTO does, which is how I'll refer to our office moving forward, we oversee tourism promotion and development for the entire state. So one corner of the state to another. There are so many ways that the tourism industry can get involved with us. First step, if you haven't already, we encourage every tourism business in Colorado to create a free listing on colorado.com. And then after that, I welcome you to explore our resources on industry.colorado.com. We have toolkits, newsletters, and we encourage all tourism businesses to get involved there, and also follow us on Colorado Tourism Buzz on Facebook, and shoot me an email to learn more. Thank you.
I have to unmute myself. Thank you so much. So Andrea is not able to make it, like I had mentioned, but Corinne, would you be able to step in and introduce yourself and what you do, and maybe how you've been working with, the public health department in your area?
Hi, my name is Corinne Rivera-Fowler. I live down in Buena Vista in Chaffee County. I actually work for Good Business Colorado as a small business owner and an organizer down here to help engage more small businesses with our work. So I don't really do work directly with the county health department, but during this crisis, I have become very acquainted with them because they've been so diligent and communicative with our community and business communities specifically. So I was excited to hear from Andrea and have her share all the good work they're doing. I'll share what I do know and some of the resources we have down here, because I feel like our community's really been very responsive and come together to find ways to reopen as we handle the economic impact and tourism impact on our communities.
Awesome, thank you. And I actually did get an email from Andrea. I asked if she had anything she would like to share. And so she did say, which we'll mention later, but they do have a certification process.
Yes.
which has been awesome, and we'll jump into that. They've also extended it for short-term rentals and hotels and motels.
Yes.
And this program has gone really well. And they also have not had any new cases associated with tourism or travel in the county. So they're still working on, creating different resources for different types of industries, she's saying, and they'll be updating that as they go on their website. Yeah, so thank you for chiming in, Corinne. I'm excited you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, Kat, you're up.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Catherine Carell. I'm with Downtown Colorado, Inc. We are a statewide membership association, and we work in this place management of Colorado's downtowns. So we support the authentic community vision through management, communications, financing, investment, partnerships, and good design. So it's really all about the places that draw tourists and locals. We are a nonprofit organization. So we, like many of our Chamber of Commerce members, we are funded primarily by membership and events. So as a statewide organization, we spend about 60% of our time on the road. And so the pandemic has caused a lot of internal reflection for both us and our members as we move forward. As we've been working on through this pandemic and through the social distancing, we have done a lot with helping people become aware of what other districts are doing, thinking about best practices in terms of actual physical distancing and the perception of safety within our places that are looking to attract visitors. But also we have seen what I find to be a great opportunity for us all is sort of this return to localism. So when we talk a little later about the idea of staycations, I think that that is a great opportunity for us all to expand the visitors from our immediate areas. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, thank you for being here. Okay, and we will go to Jordan with Good Business Colorado.
Well, thank you, Sydney. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for helping to coordinate this amazing event. We're really happy to be working with you on this. So yeah, my name is Jordan Przinski, and I serve as the Director of Membership with Good Business Colorado. Good Business Colorado, similar to Downtown Colorado Inc., is a statewide association of business members. And what we do is we actually engage our business owners in the public policy conversations at the state legislature and also in the media. Really, all of our work is tied to very much at the legislature, working for small businesses on bills and legislation that will help elevate the position of Colorado's small businesses in the community. So some of the things that we've done for the transition kind of to, being fully remote, we've closed our office as of, I think, March 14th, is we've really moved all of our programming to an online space and really worked hard to try and provide opportunities for GBC members and other allied organization members to have opportunities to interface directly with legislatures, folks who work with state agencies, all with an eye towards helping folks best cope with kind of some of the issues that are rising up within their businesses and their communities throughout the COVID-19 crisis.
Thanks. You, I appreciate it. Thank you. So as we move into our conversation, just for our audience to know, some of you had asked questions during registration and we were able to work those into our conversation. And we plan to save about 10 to 15 minutes for some more Q&A before we break out into doing our networking. So as we get started, my first question I wanted to ask you all is, the Colorado Tourism Office launched the hashtag Waiting to CO campaign, engaging and encouraging travelers to keep Colorado at the top of their minds, but also understanding that it might not be the best time for out-of-state travelers to actually come to Colorado. Can you all maybe touch base, and this is for all of our panelists who want to answer, what's your organization's next planned phase to encourage travel? What does that look like?
If I can, I'd love to jump in first.
Yeah.
As the representative from the tourism office. So Waiting to Co is the first of a 4-phased approach to getting back into the market. We launched Waiting to Co when the state of Colorado was still under stay at home and safer at home. And we've seen those guidelines start to loosen, right? And so as more and more is opening up, we're shifting gears. Now we're focused on, and we launched an initiative just last week called Care for Coloradans. As some of you may know, our office is really focused on educating travelers about how to take care of our natural places respectfully. And now we're expanding that definition of responsible tourism to include keeping themselves safe, travelers safe, and keeping our communities safe. So wearing face masks, physical distancing, washing your hands, all of those best practices that should be embraced as you travel across communities in Colorado. So we've launched those practices in animated videos, in a brochure that our partners can download and use for their own purposes. And we are about to enter the next phase of our campaign, which is really targeting in-state travelers. And this campaign will launch next week. And we've been given the go-ahead by the governor's office and by CDPHE to start encouraging Coloradans to get out and explore their own state. So we're really excited about this next phase. We think it's a great opportunity to talk to Coloradans about why tourism is an important industry. Colorado is a dream destination. People from all across the country, all across the world really want to come travel here. And we have these resources in our own backyards. So we're really hoping we can inspire Coloradans to get out and explore those opportunities and also support this industry. As you all may know, tourism is the second largest employer as an industry in the state. And it's been arguably hit the hardest from COVID-19 containment. So we're really hoping that Coloradans can gather inspiration from this new campaign, and we're anxious to see how it performs.
Sydney, I can chime in unless you have another plan.
No, go for it. Yes, please.
Yeah, because I think that this fits very well. So we've been watching, the different guidelines from CBC, CDPHE, Colorado Tourism Office, and our state, and working with our communities to really reflect on that built environment. So, as we communicate how to travel, we also want to make it possible to follow those guidelines when you get to your destinations. So working with the commercial districts to make sure that they have hand washing facilities, or the different types of guidelines that you need to have on the ground so that the district itself is safe, and then thinking about how we support our businesses to help them get access to all of the PPE and the different supplies that they might need as well. Additionally, we've been looking at a lot of moving businesses outside. So what are those guidelines that we need to help restaurants and businesses move their business outside so that when you get to a place, you can actually enjoy all of the things that they have to offer in a safe manner? And thinking about the regulations and the restrictions that are making those things possible or impossible for different communities. Also thinking about sort of the investment in your assets. So thinking about how you're investing in both your employees and that frontline employee, making sure that they understand the different guidelines, but also thinking about investing in the assets of your businesses like touch-free payment systems, or thinking about how they can put together really a better picture of what the experience is of the community or the services from the business, so that you can put that out virtually to attract tourists and visitors from either Colorado or external places. And then really communicating the ideas of safety and intimacy. So what we're seeing is with both businesses and our commercial districts, we have a potential right now to create much more individualized, intimate experiences. You know, when you go to a restaurant, you have only half the place taken up, right? So you can do many different things with the way that you interact with your places, with your businesses, and with your districts. And then the last part that we've been doing, so we always support getting those locals involved and thinking about how to do that, that in-state travel, but helping our communities to really share and market what they've done. So marketing both the safety measures that they put in place, the experiences that they have, and really helping people from one part of the state understand the unique experience that they can get visiting another part of the state, and kind of that cross-pollination of ideas.
Thank you, Kat. Are there any other panelists that would like to chime in on this question?
Yeah, so, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yes, hi there. I'm Justin Clark. I'm with Visit Aurora, but I'm also representing Destination Colorado today. And both Visit Aurora and Destination Colorado have traditionally had more of a focus on group business. So those groups that are either in-state and meeting, be they associations or corporations, or folks coming from out of state. And as you can imagine, this has been a particularly challenging time for group business in the state. So we're really working to gather and share resources, best practices, help our partners be successful and navigate those guidelines that have been put out by the CDHPE and the governor's office to help them open successfully and safely. Also really, especially with Destination Colorado, just being a really good partnership of a wide variety of organizations in the travel and hospitality space that can really rely on each other and be a really good working group that they can reach out to each other, ask questions, get best practices, overcome problems creatively, which seems to be something that's really necessary right now.
And I would just add that, Good Business Colorado's role and kind of scope isn't necessarily to encourage tourism within the state, but what we've really tried to do hard is work with businesses to make sure that they've got the information that's important to them, to make sure that when folks are traveling within our state, they're doing so in a safe manner. Also, I think, you've seen programming very similar to this, where it's really all about trying to provide opportunities for businesses to put their heads together and share information to make sure that we are, reopening our state in a safe way and continuing to encourage tourism.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So I'll just add that really relating to what Kat was saying about how we can respond in creative ways. Down in Salida, the Salida Business Alliance worked closely with the City Council. We started having conversations, I think, in late April about how we were going to reopen when the time came. And what we have done is actually shut down our main street. It's F Street in Salida, and that's where a number of our businesses operate downtown. And so that has been turned into a pedestrian mall. And the retailers along the street can, bring a booth outside. They can sell their wares out in the open air. Restaurants and can bring tables out and have more space to provide to get to their 50% capacities. So, those were long conversations that happened over a 6-week period. The City Council got involved, the mayor, and everyone had some really sometimes difficult conversations deciding how this should go and how it was going to work for everyone. But it has started about 2 weeks ago, I believe, and that's how we're trying to encourage people to still come downtown and do their shopping and have fun and feel safe.
Awesome. I love the innovation in thinking outside of the box. So something that I know we wanted to touch on when Andrea was going to be here was really looking at, health and safety and what does that that mean for the tourism industry? So we'll do our best without her to kind of discuss this topic. For you all, I guess what I would love to ask is, what is the best resource, or what are some of the resources you all have been using to get your health and your public health and safety information from? What are some resources that folks that are on, right now could maybe reach out to and get connected with?
Let me just start with some of the things that I know that Andrea can provide or was going to talk about.
Can you say that again? It sounded really quiet.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. I can share some of the resources that Andrea and the Chaffee County Public Health Department were going to talk about. Of course, I'm not with them, but we do have some really great resources. So we had a very clear timeline that was provided by our health department as far as hotel and motel safe business operating checklists and timeline. And that was presented early in May to the community and, open for feedback, which was really awesome. Like I've said, the communication between the health department and the community at large and the business community has been amazing down here. They did change the timeline because we were set to start to reopen at the end of May, and the state was also set to begin to reopen, and so they decided they wanted to see what the state guidelines were going to be and hold off on our reopening until June 5th. So I thought that was also really smart to make sure that we were staying in line with the larger governor's plans around everything. And then something that they've provided, which I think is really helpful for folks to go look at, it's on the Chaffee County Public Health website, but there's a number of different checklists. So there's a safe business checklist, critical business, hotel and motel, and short-term rentals. And they are regularly updated, even like every couple of days, as we learn different things and make sure that we're responding exactly to our community needs. But it really, helps you figure out as a business what you need to do to make sure that your visitors and your staff are all safe. They're pretty thorough. And I just think it's a great resource that our county has provided, as well as regular like Facebook Friday meetings where you can, listen to the latest updates in real time and see faces and get some questions answered. So I would encourage folks in other communities as you're trying to create these kinds of plans to look at the Chaffee County Public Health homepage, which has all these great checklist resources for folks to figure out the best way to safely reopen.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing that, Corinne. Thank you.
And I would just add to that by saying what I'm seeing is every county, every community kind of has their own process. And I do think Chaffee County's done a great job. La Plata County has done a great job. Many places have done a great job. But what I think is very effective in terms of helping businesses and really helping on the ground is to think about it at the county level or at the municipal level and putting together guidelines that everybody can follow. In many parts of our state, there are sort of disputes between customers and business owners. And so if you actually make it a uniform policy for the whole community, I think you can alleviate some of that pressure on the frontline employees.
Thank you. Justin, I think you were going to hop into.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, for good resources to stay informed, I think, having that close connection to your local community, be they municipal government, counties, or your county health departments, is incredibly important, because at the end of the day, that's where you live and work. But the state websites are also very effective and informative. The CDHP site has great updates and guidelines for every industry. And then really utilizing your networks and professional organizations and partnerships that you may be part of, such as Destination Colorado, Cotel Colorado Lodging Association, MPI, PCMA. All those groups are really collecting some great resources and have some people there that can really help steer you in the right direction.
Thank you. So my next question is one that's up for debate a little bit. It's one where I had to sit and think about it, and I would love to get you all's feedback on it as well. You know, we've seen with locations that are considered hotspots, you know, where, for instance, in Florida, New Yorkers can't rent Airbnbs. You know, there are some places where they're starting to exclude certain people from certain areas from actually using services. I could personally see this becoming an issue of maybe discrimination. I'm not sure. We're on uncharted territory and uncharted water. What is your outlook on this topic? Because it is something that is on the top of a lot of business owners' minds. You know, their staff healthy and safe. Anyone want to take a stab at it? It's a tough one.
Well, I'll say, you know, I think that as an organization, we're lucky because we can kind of tune into what each region or each community is thinking, and then we help them share that with each other. I worry at some level because a lot of our business model is us actually going to visit places in our state, and I think to myself, I don't know if they want me there, you know, like, do they want me to come? And so I think that it is a very real question, and especially with Arizona and Utah being, you know, kind of the rising cases, and being so close to us. I think that those are questions, especially over on that side of the state. I think that they're dealing with those already. I don't have an answer.
That's fine.
One thing that I can touch on a little bit is I think the CTO is looking at this from a destination perspective of, we want destinations across the state to tell us when they feel comfortable welcoming guests back. So we're doing that in a number of ways. We are creating, for this upcoming in-state campaign where we're starting to talk to travelers directly again, we are creating a campaign landing page, and that will have special offers. It will have road trip itineraries. And in order to engage in that page as a destination, you need to tell us you're ready. If there's a certain part of the state that is maybe more anxious about being a hotspot, or, you know, they know that certain travelers are coming from a certain area and they don't feel comfortable with us pushing their messaging out, we won't do it yet. Then as far as a marketing perspective, we're not at the point where we're going beyond state lines. I mean, we're hardly talking to our in-state travelers yet. And once we get there, I think that will take some consideration of how we talk to out-of-state travelers, and if we need to geofence in certain ways. I think these conversations are going on with our marketing agencies, and honestly, I feel like we're lucky to have experts on our side here, because it is uncharted territory.
Yeah, and I really like how you just mentioned geofencing, because that is a tool that I would have never thought of to use in this way. You know, I'm so used to seeing it used for marketing purposes, and, you know, just for like products and services, but not necessarily for the act of tourism itself and bringing folks in. So interesting.
Yeah. One thing I can just add to that, if I may, when we start talking to folks driving, people are going to be getting in their cars, right, and exploring in their cars. And while we can't and won't talk to folks out of the state yet, we can target them as soon as they enter. And so one way we're trying to capture that audience is sending them a pop-up, so to speak, of information about our Colorado Welcome Centers. Those will be coming back online in early July. And once folks enter the state border, they'll be able to get more information from those Colorado Welcome Centers and be kind of driven in that way through advertising on mobile.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abby. Any other thoughts
Yeah,
before I move on?
I would just say to Abby, what an innovative way to try and reach folks as they're entering the state. I really appreciate that. And you know, these are very real concerns. And I would just say that as Good Business Colorado, something that we'll, you know, always continue to do is trying to get out the best information to our business members across the state to ensure that, you know, we're complying with health and safety guidelines to prevent the spread of COVID.
Thank you, Jordan. Okay, so since we're on the topic of being innovative, I had a couple of questions pop up by folks who registered, and even just some are my own personal curiosities too, into looking at how tourism is currently structured and maybe putting more thought into certain areas. And one of the biggest topics that came up was affordability to residents. You know, there are several states with large tourism industries that, you know, discount attractions, restaurants, whatnot to locals. Vegas is a great example of this. Florida does this with a lot of the amusement parks and, you know, attractions. Is it possible for Colorado to start thinking about doing this to make, you know, traveling within our own state more affordable to folks? Any ideas around that?
Yeah, this is something that we are seeing a lot of destinations start to tap into, and it's definitely exciting for us to see that. I know the Royal Gorge is offering discounted passes for residents. I think other destinations are offering hotel and lodging packages for residents for more of that kind of staycation approach. Another facet of the in-state campaign that we're launching is a special offers tool. And we're encouraging destinations to not necessarily go straight to discounting, but really look at a package or look at how we can add value through experiences. So for example, what we've seen work well with Dude and Guest Ranches, typically a stay at a Dude and Guest Ranch is 7 days. What they've been able to do is maybe offer a 3 or 4 day special package. So you're not spending the 7-day time and expense. You're getting a shortened experience for a lesser amount of money, but still having a lot of valuable experience there.
Awesome, thank you.
And I have an interesting anecdote, but even before this, as we've been working with communities that are typically viewed as very successful with tourism, like Aspen or Vail or Breckenridge, they will tell, I have heard stories, I haven't seen any stats on this, but that if they have a new restaurant opening and they want it to be successful, they have a secret deal for locals. And if you don't put in a secret deal for locals, you will not stay open, because that is what gets people through the times, the down times. That is what gets people through all of the kind of ups and downs of our economy. So I think that this is exactly right. Like really targeting the people who could come and make a weekend of it without it having to be, you know, a cross-country trip. I think you have a lot more potential, and I'd love to see more of that, because I think communities have long focused on bringing in the outside, you know, the outside people, and we have plenty of people right here who love our state already.
Yeah, I totally agree, Kat. Me being a native, I know I definitely am big on exploring my own backyard. And so it's interesting anytime I meet another native who's like, oh, I've never been to like the Royal Gorge. I'm like, what, you haven't? And they're like, well, I didn't know it existed. I've never gotten information on this. So I think there's a huge opportunity to definitely market to residents. So thank you, yeah. Anyone else would like to chime in before we move on?
I sort of speak from a a local's point of view, I guess. And this is just anecdotally, you know, I had to drive to Leadville a couple days ago, which is the farthest that I've gone. And we were hungry on the way back. And we decided to drive back into Chaffee County to buy some dinner because we wanted to spend our money in our county. And so I think people are really into that right now and want to create some, you know, economic stability in their own counties. And I know that Angel Rowell is on the call, and she actually she's the president of the Slider Business Alliance, but she also is the owner of Discovery Pass, which is a locals discount program that we have in Chaffee County that she created. So I want to maybe put Angel on the spot to talk about Discovery Pass, but you know, we really think about that down here, and Angel has been very innovative and created this awesome program that's been going on for a couple of years now. So something that folks can think about. You know, the discounts to your local community are really important right now to drum up more business.
Well, I was going to say, Angel, if you feel comfortable speaking, we would love to hear more about the Discovery Pass. Okay.
Sure.
Muting. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. Thanks for mentioning. Yeah, I guess it ultimately was created because my husband and I sat around, we're having this happy hour, and I just thought, how do we support local businesses and make sure locals and visitors are, you know, checking out these amazing places? And, you know, people tend to be creatures of habit, right? They'll go to the same places over and over again. And this kind of incentivizes them with a small discount or freebie to get them in the door and try something new, try a new experience, try a new restaurant. So it's a collection of, we have, I believe, we launch it 2 times a year. So summer and then winter. And kind of it's mainly based on our experiences, right? But it's $25, and I loved your locals insider thing. We usually give a locals discount too for it, but it's $25 and has about $600 worth of value. Businesses do not pay to be a part of it. It is a free marketing tool for them, and then we do all the marketing and promotion on our end. Yeah, we have about, I think we have about 60 businesses, 64 offers. You can do more than one offer. And yeah, it's been awesome. It's just Chaffee County, with the one exception. We do have one Tamichi Creek out of Sargent's because they're the only place over there. So we gave them a Chaffee County, like stepchild kind of love. So, or something, I don't know. That's
yeah.
You get it. But yeah. Thanks for asking. Yeah. And I mean, it's not necessarily anything new. A lot of people were like, oh, Gold Seal books or Happenings books. And it's very similar to that, I guess, except this is totally digital and it lives on your phone. And you don't forget it in your car, right? Everyone has their phone on them. I think I forget my wallet more than I forget my phone. So yeah, so that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angel, for hopping on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
And thank you, Corinne. Another topic that I wanted to touch on is accessibility to those with special needs. I personally have been a part of, you know, an advocate for folks with special needs. And, you know, as we, you know, have a growing aging population, and then we have individuals with special needs that have been heavily impacted by COVID-19. Have there been any considerations made for these individuals so that, you know, they can feel safe to get back out and travel and enjoy the state? That's a big question too. I know we have lots of big questions, but love to hear your ideas and maybe even just some thoughts on things that could be done, even if they're not being done currently.
Yeah, the Colorado Tourism Office is actively trying to expand its amount of resources for those traveling with all abilities. So we are working to put together travel itineraries specific to those who get around in different ways. And one way we're doing that is, and we're also beyond to travel itineraries for those, we're looking to also make the content a lot more findable. I think there's a lot of information out there, and Colorado.com is a great resource, but it can be, it's like swimming through a lot of data unless you know exactly what you're looking for. So we're trying to make those itineraries and those articles more readily available. So we're looking at creating an ADA specific icon on those travel itineraries, as well as travel business listings that are able to offer those with all abilities to be welcome there as well. And it's a work in progress for sure, and especially as we see the population aging and changing, it's something we need to really stay on the cusp of.
And I'll chime in. I absolutely agree, and it's so good to hear that from Abby. Our organization, we do a lot of work around the built environment. And so in addition to this idea of moving outside, I think that there is a lot of conversation right now about the built environment within our destinations and how we need to restructure. So there's a lot of talk of the commercial spaces and restructuring them, the repurposing of office spaces. Our needs may just be different as people have found that they can work from home, or we find that a lot of these small businesses can't afford a large commercial space. And so looking at how to do sharing. And I think that that has a lot of potential to integrate in more ADA accessibility, more upgrades to the physical spaces. And it's another area where it presents an opportunity to really clean up our act, where it might not have been making progress before. Now I think it becomes more front and center. And when we're making these changes, we have the opportunity to do that. The other thing that I think will impact accessibility is sort of this idea of what is the future of retail, and the idea of touchless payment is just one thing, but the idea that the whole process will be much more digitized, much more streamlined. And so the idea of how you get from one place to the other, it will all become much more linked together. And as things become more readily available in an online forum, you could actually make reservations to come into the airport, or not come into the airport, but to go from one destination to another and have all of your activities outlined in advance, which I think provides a level of security and speed of transfer that we don't currently have. So I see that coming. I don't have a great example of anyone who's there yet.
Awesome, thank you. Jordan?
Something I would add is, we've partnered with a great organization here in the state called the Colorado Cross Disability Coalition. And I do know that they provide a lot of opportunities for businesses, nonprofits, and other governments to really make sure that, not only are you following, your business or your buildings are ADA compliant, but also really best practices about making sure that folks with disabilities feel welcome within your business and within your communities. So that's an organization that, folks might be interested in reaching out to learn some more.
Thank you for sharing that resource. I appreciate it. Next question before we move into a little bit of Q&A is on sustainability. Also another topic that's dear to my heart. Have there been any thoughts or actions taken by your organization or organizations you are surrounded by to make the Colorado travel industry more sustainable? And what this could look like is maybe like a reduction in traffic, pollution. We already covered, affordability, accessibility, but also, reinvestment into local community, anything along those lines. Have you all seen a shift or know of any projects happening around those topics?
One thing we're trying to do at the tourism office is take a leadership role in educating travelers about how to be respectful of our natural spaces, especially as studies show that being outside is one of the safest activities you can participate in now. And outdoor recreation is being encouraged from the governor's office, even to those at risk that were, told to stay home. Now, hiking trails, biking, rafting even now is available. And so as more people are exploring the outdoors, potentially for the first time in some cases, as folks come in, what can we do to educate them to know how to properly put out a campfire, to know to check those local fire restrictions, to know what to do with human and pet waste when you're camping? These are all things that may be second nature to us as residents, but not necessarily to travelers. So we're taking this as an opportunity to really push out that message. We actually just launched a Care for Colorado content hub that we created in partnership with Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. And so I invite you all to check that out. We have a toolkit on there that allows you to download these videos to use on your own platforms if that's of interest to you, and just help us elevate that message.
Thank you.
And I think this whole thing has really shown the impact of our previous habits on the environment, right? So as people stopped flying and stopped driving, you could suddenly see the mountains that much more clearly, right? So I think all of those things get back to that idea of really loving the local, and the more that you can do in a local environment and bringing people in. Downtowns are, especially our historic downtowns, are typically our most sustainable asset. There's buildings that have been standing for 100 years, and they are walkable. They're built close together so that the impacts on the environment and the amount of maintenance and infrastructure required for them is a little bit less than other places. So I think a lot of that has been our mantra long before this, and as people start to really show their appreciation for their local environment and their local communities, closing down those streets like they've done in Salida and so many other places, I think that people will potentially not want to go back. Once you have more space for people and less space for cars, a lot of times people don't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to just maybe not answer this myself, but ask Mayor Wood, who is on the phone. He's a small business owner. He owns High Woods Distillery, High Mountain Distillery. Sorry, Mayor Wood. But I think there's been a lot done, and he can answer this question better for our community.
Sure. Oops, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'll take a stab at this. Sure. This has been really a topic of conversation with the mountain mayors for quite a while, and I think we're kind of at the forefront of climate change, and so sustainability is not only important to our local brands and our towns and our tourism, but to our very survival, right? So we've been working on a number of things. Salida, for instance, all of our municipal facilities are 100% solar. So that would include our offices, our water treatment, our wastewater treatment, everything. So pursuing those, and then also trying to figure out how to make the downtown more walkable so you don't have to drive around. We've been talking about connecting the downtown and the Highway 50 for a while. Went through a process to try and make Highway 50 a little more walkable. That didn't go over great with some of the businesses out there, so we backed off, and we're gonna do some incremental changes, I think, with hopes towards that. But it's a bit of we should be doing this as a sprint, but it's a marathon, right? And I know we're deeply involved in the Mountain Towns 2030 program, which sets a goal of emissions neutrality by 2030. So all those things, I think, kind of combine to one, make us a more attractive destination. I think that's where people want to go, our towns and places that are thinking about this, but also will hopefully in 10 years still have a river and not all of our forests will burn down. We had the Decker fire last summer, and that was pretty devastating. So I think the sustainability piece is hugely important for everybody. And as a distiller, I get grain and potatoes from the valley, and fruit from and hops from the western slope. And as the climate changes, those things are deeply impacted.
Thank you so much, Mayor Woods. I appreciate you hopping on and sharing what's going on. And I think, Justin, you were going to say something too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think in a little broader context, kind of taking into mind that idea of, community health and engagement on a more holistic level. I think that's one thing I've really noticed over the last few months in particular. I think the destination and hospitality, travel and tourism industry has, been on a, sustained path of more engagement with their communities, and, not only looking outside to that visitor, but looking out their back door as well. And I think that's one of the perhaps silver linings of this crisis we're in right now. Is, I know for our organization, but also many of the other destinations in the state, is you're really seeing that pivot to the local community and really looking at, how sustainable are those hospitality operations, both from like an employment standpoint, engaging with the community, supporting the neighborhood around those hotels or attractions, because it's, in our industry, it's, a very common phrase to say, like, people want to visit places that are great places to live. And the hospitality, travel, and tourism community have a role there. And, we really have this unprecedented level of connection and exchange with our, municipal, county, state, and federal government, which I think, could actually be a really lasting positive result of what we're going through right now.
Thank you. Jordan?
Yeah, just, as Good Business Colorado, a collection of values-driven businesses, I think the environment is always top of mind for our folks. And, one of the things that I know that I can commit that we'll continue to do is always looking towards our friends in the environmental community to find ways to pass legislation that really enables our businesses and our communities to find a more sustainable path while still meeting the needs of our customers and our citizens.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Was there anything else to add? Really quick, I was going to jump back to when we were talking about accessibility. The Explorist, Angela with the Explorist is on, and she check out her comment too about accessibility. She's an awesome person to work with and to speak with as well. Okay, well, we are going to move into a little bit of Q&A and then onto our networking. So I definitely want to open the floor up for a few minutes to our audience. If there were any questions that were missed and you would like to ask our panelists, feel free to do so now. Go ahead and get started. And if you don't have access to a microphone and you want to type your question in, feel free to do that and I'll read it off as well. Do we have any questions from anyone? Feel free to jump in.
This is Genevieve with the Boulder Auto. I've got a question for Abby specifically. I know we're talking a lot about in-state travel, and that's definitely something we've been focusing on. Is there like a projection of what the phase will be, or when we'll start focusing more on bringing in folks from out of the state?
We don't have projections at this time of when we'll start to broaden our reach. We are working really closely with the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, as well as the governor's office. I think at this point, folks are anxious to see what the next round of data looks like, and then we'll go from there. So at this point, the tourism office is trying to really just get all of our ducks in a row. From a campaign standpoint, get all those assets ready and available so that once we're able to flip the switch, we can do so and hit the ground running. I'll keep you posted as soon as we know more.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hey, Sydney, this is Jordan, and one thing that it's not necessarily a question, but kind of going back to the discussion, there were two bills that I think are super relevant for the conversation here that passed this year. Specifically, there was a bunch of money set aside by the state to help businesses that have in the tourism industry that have been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. So one of them, which is Senate Bill 222 that passed, specifically sets aside for $5 million in grants for businesses in the tourism industry with less than 25 employees. So, you know, really thinking the smallest businesses here in the state have a pot of money that they can look to help them manage through this crisis. Another bill, House Bill 1413, is low interest loans, specifically for the tourism industry. So, you know, these loans are coming in at subprime rates, really for the benefit of businesses. And, you know, one other thing to really make sure that it is called out is, you know, when they look at the tourism industry, they're really looking at rural Colorado businesses that are owned by minorities, women, and veterans, to make sure that, you know, there's an equitable distribution of all of these funds, but still make sure that it's getting out to the communities and the businesses that really need it most right now.
Thank you. That's really important information to be shared. I appreciate it. And if you're on the line and you're a small business owner, I definitely suggest reaching out to Good Business Colorado and look at getting involved, because Jordan and the team over there do a lot of groundwork around legislation, especially advocating towards what your needs are currently.
Thanks for that, Sydney. And, you know, just to that point, we will be providing some technical assistance opportunities for folks with these grants and loans. So if there's, you know, folks have questions, need help filling out applications, or just some general guidance, our team will be there to help there.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we hop into our networking? Awesome. Okay, thank you, panelists. I really appreciate your time in being here today, and for all of our guest panelists that popped on too. I appreciate your input. It was super valuable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move us into breakout rooms, and what I'm going to do is rotate us twice so that you'll get to meet different folks. Now, really, what you can do during this time is introduce yourself. This is a great time to share contact information, your virtual business card. And then I have a couple of questions, although you are welcome to, you know, speak freely. But I have a couple of questions to guide the conversation. No business can be 100% safe, right? And fear is a barrier that significantly slows the tourism industry. What are ways that your org is effectively communicating with people to rebuild, you know, like, know, and trust? So that's a topic I thought might be great for us to kind of all brainstorm together on creating that like, know, and trust. And then just in general, what other steps is your organization taking to adapt? So let me go ahead and get us into breakout rooms, and let's see. It'll just take me a second to do so. Okay, have a great time.
It looks like we lost Cheryl.
Uh-oh, who did we lose? Hello? Hi. Can you all hear me? You're welcome to take yourself off mute. Hello? Hello? Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Alejandra and Kristen, feel free to unmute yourselves.
As things loosen up starting Monday, I think Chaffee County will be one of those counties that is going to be allowed to open a little bit. And as long as nobody blows it for all of us, I think we could be doing okay going into the wintertime.
Yeah.
Skiing is a social distancing sport.
Good for it. Well, I know that you guys had plans to do some expansion, Eva was saying, and are you still going to do that, or are you holding off?
Everything's on hold for a year.
Okay. Just being safe financially. Yeah.
Yes. One
Yeah.
thing Bob Nichols did a few years ago at one of our owners' meetings was he wanted to put X amount of dollars in the bank in case of a nuclear winter. We didn't know what that looked like. Now we do. And we're doing okay financially. We just want to continue it.
Yeah.
I think, or I hope we all realize that Monarch is a big part of the economy in Chaffee County in the wintertime.
Yeah. Huge. Really is. Well, glad to see you on the call today.
Yeah, it's good to see all of you.
I already forgot our question, Sydney. I'm glad you're on here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I missed the introduction. Can you introduce yourself to me again? I'm sorry.
I'm Dan Bender, Marketing Director at Monarch.
Hi, how's it going, Dan?
Good. How are you, Sydney?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for asking. Okay, so my question was, and I'm going to share it with everyone. I'm going to broadcast it to all. If I don't run out of characters to do that. But pretty much no business can guarantee that they're 100% safe. So what are you doing to build like, know, and trust?
Is that to me?
To everyone, yeah. What are we all doing to build like, know, and trust in the tourism industry? But I would love for you to go first.
Okay, well, thanks. We're using our website. So our general manager, Randy Stroud, has started up a blog, and our VP of Mountain Operations, Scott Presley, has been doing one for some time. And Randy is doing his in a way to promote customer confidence going into the season. What we're doing, we're remodeling the lodge in some areas to promote social distancing. Anybody that's familiar with Monarch, the Sidewinder Saloon has been an iconic saloon bar in the ski industry for 40 years. Unfortunately, it was built when I was a sophomore in high school, so I remember this. But we're taking a lot of the tables out and building booths, so people can still come in there and spend the end of the day. But that's going into the blog, so we're doing that. We're taking our sack lunches out of the building; those will go to your car. Mm-hmm. We're getting a food truck There'll be, well, it's going to be a trailer. We may be able to pull it up on the hill. It may be down in the parking lot. This is all very fluid right now. But if it's in the parking lot, we'll take our sack lunchroom, and that's where food truck items will go. We're just going to move people through our lodge bigger and promote being outside more. Of course, when you're in the lift line, you're tip to tail. You're 6 feet apart right there. We'll change the way you load lifts. We watched how Al Hensroth and his crew at A Basin did it for those 2 weeks. We'll load chairs single unless you're a family. Just things like that. So we're not concerned terribly about how this is all going to work. I mean, we're fortunate in how we operate, that it's just small, minute things we do to tweak it. And we're also watching the rafting industry right now. I've noticed some of the buses, that's the tough part, is the buses, you know, the transportation. We're watching they're sitting every other seat diagonally throughout the bus, that kind of stuff. So, you know, we're watching how they're doing it.
I had wondered about that too, especially with rafting. You're so close with strangers. You might not necessarily be a family unit. Sometimes they try to put, you know, if there's odd couples or whatnot, pair you together. So I was wondering how they were going to do things.
Yeah, I'm an old raft guide myself, so I've been
you are
curious how they did that. And yeah, thankfully I don't do that anymore, but not for money. I do it for fun now.
For fun,
but
yeah.
But I was curious. I thought that would be a big model for us to watch.
Yeah.
How are the rafters doing it? And it'll help us with our indoor stuff and our outdoor.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
I think that the rafting, what I understand from talks I've had, is that you can only have your own family or company with you on the boat. So it is creating challenges for them.
Yeah.
Like, they usually try to double you up or pack the boat. And I live on the river, so I've seen like some boats are really packed and then the next boat will have 2 people. So it's definitely changing the way that they're having to operate. And then less of the companies are definitely open up here on the north side of the county. A few of the rafting companies just haven't opened, which is huge. I mean, that's like, you know, that's a huge part of our economy. So they're just choosing not to open. Well,
and my question is too, because don't they have to pay, I forget what the word is, but pay for each, or they have a restriction to how many times they can go down the river?
What is it called? Yeah.
I forget the name of it.
User days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that just really throws that off completely.
Well, as a guide, the guy that has the 2 load is making less money than the guy with the 8 load.
Yeah.
And the guy with the 8 load is struggling. I mean, the boats were so off balance just on the few that we saw the other day. I was like, that is wrong. You know, it looked wrong.
Yeah.
It looked difficult for them. Yeah.
I have seen in some restaurants, they have moved, which isn't necessarily popular, but moved to doing like everyone shares tips, even the back of the house, to where it's just flat, like whatever the tips are, the whole team, I guess like pooling of tips and whatnot. That is something I've seen become more popular, just to make sure that everybody's taken care of through all of this. I know.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see.
Sorry, Deborah.
Sorry, what, Sydney?
No, go ahead.
I think one thing that's really interesting to this is to see how consumers are going to respond to increased costs for the things that they enjoy and appreciate. And, you know, I think especially for in the restaurant industry, we pay the cost of family of 40% of their income, and just really interested to see if this kind of refocusing on the actual cost of doing business is going to have any impact on consumer habits in terms of more willingness to spend money locally, to understand the dependency of local economies on their dollars. Like, Corinne, it was interesting to hear, like, from, you know, your perspective and from others on the panel, how people are really trying to invest locally. And just, I'm interested to see what the long-term effects of that are.
Could be a positive, right? In many ways.
Corinne, your mic for some reason went real low. What were you saying?
What is going on? I just said that could be really positive, that if we spend our money local again, instead of going to Amazon. Can you hear me?
Yes, no, I can hear you now.
And how does that play out, like, for you, like in the ski industry, in a sport that's relatively expensive, especially compared to other recreational activities? I mean, you don't really have the same margins to work with, or do you? Like, I'm so interested to know how you're kind of adjusting, you know, when the cost of that activity is already, you know, challenging, I think.
Yeah, that's a good question. We sell a lot of season passes, and the thing about the season pass is you have that revenue before the ski season starts. It keeps you from going to the bank. You know, as I said earlier, our last year was our record year in our 80-year history. The year before that had been the previous high water mark. Last year just blew the season before out of the water. So we don't even we're not even comparing that. But I was in a Zoom meeting yesterday, and we are ahead of the 2018-2019 year-to-date season pass sales right now.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
For next year.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Wow, really?
Wow.
And
Wow.
we've done a few things. Like last year, we implemented a payment program, which we were late to the game on that one. Everybody else is doing it, but we've extended it now, and we generally would have a pass increase coming up here soon, but we've moved it to July 31st. So we know that July 31st is really going to tell the tale of what's going to happen, because, you know, we don't pay for something until we absolutely have to. So when that deadline comes along, hopefully it doesn't crash our server, which it's done in the past. Another thing, though, we've noticed is we've had people go to our downtown office and they're trying to throw more money at us. They don't want to see Monarch go out of business. They think we're just poor little old Monarch. And so they're going, we'll buy a season pass, but here's another $200. No, you don't need to do that. So it's kind of cool to see some of the reactions of the people.
Do you think
and how are the businesses?
Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead, Sydney.
Well, I was going to say, do you think that's because Monarch has taken care of the community? Like that you're seeing a reaction like that, or?
I think so. I think we have, I mean, there's some people that, I grew up skiing at Monarch. I started skiing there in 71. I started teaching skiing there in 82. So I have a long history with it. I'm also a small part of the ownership group. But my whole life, I've always felt that that's my ski area. And that's what we're finding from our customers is it's their ski area. And you know what? From a marketing standpoint, we're rolling with it. Cool. We want you to feel like it's your ski area. And as they feel the ownership of it, they become more involved and they're happy to participate. There's the percentage that we just can't do enough for them, and they're always going to be mad at us. But we're finding that number is getting to be smaller and smaller. So, yeah, I hate to call them fans. That's a fanatic, but we do definitely have our friends, and they're willing to support. That's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead, Deborah. Sorry, you were going to ask something.
It was along the same lines of your question, Sydney. I was just curious how the businesses that also are very dependent on Monarch are faring. If you're how you're seeing them. Are you having issues with supply or concerns about future supply issues, or like how's that ecosystem?
Do you mean as far as like for our retail shop, that type of, or do you mean local businesses in the valley? How they're reacting?
Both, like the local businesses that really depend on the traffic of Monarch, and as well as your supply chain.
Well, you know, I would think that the two things that rely the most upon us, and I watched this growing up. I mean, I was thinking to myself earlier, I'm witnessing the third generation of what Salida is in the last almost 50 years. When we moved here, it was a railroad, mining, and ranching town. And then it darn near died in the 80s. And we all kind of stuck in there, were the glue and kept it together. And now it's a full-blown tourist town. There's an art district. There's those things. So I would say that now there's way more lodging properties in town than there were in 1975. What's called now the Uptown Grill. It used to be called the Spa, and it was affiliated with the swimming pool. It took me years to figure out why it was called that. But
sorry, we were starting to move.
That's all good. Oops.
Did we lose that? Dang it. I thought it went really well, Sydney.
Oh, you did? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I was glad to see so many people on.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to move.
Are we getting cut off?
Yeah, I'm like moving people right now. And
okay.
It's who would you like to talk to? Do you want to talk to anyone? You're like, I don't care, anybody.
I don't
Put me
care.
in any room. Okay. I'm gonna put you in a room then.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'm gonna move you to, let me put you in this room. Okay. There's like one person who just left their computer on and they haven't like joined at all. They stepped away, I could tell. Okay, I'm moving you now.
Okay.
Sydney.
Hi,
Sydney.
Hi. How are you, Genevieve?
Good. I miss you. It's been so long since I've seen your face.
I know. I miss you too. How's the team doing?
Well, there's not very many of us left. It's just me and Mia.
Oh, wow.
Linda came back as doing like front desk and hosting in the restaurant for the time being. We're going to bring everybody back when we have money, but right now literally, I was just telling Justin, I just booked a 4-person meeting and an 8-person meeting.
Wow.
So they're both in June. I mean, it's all room rental. They may do some stuff in the restaurant, but like, hey, that's a huge deal. But I mean, you guys know that's what we're seeing. So,
yeah.
But we are starting to see like a few things for 2021 and even like some fall stuff. So hopefully things will happen. How about you guys?
Justin, I'll let you go and then I'll go.
It's I think generally good news. I mean, really, I'm seeing, sustained but modest improvement on our star reports and performance the last probably 3 weeks. So that's a good thing. Starting to get some more engagement from clients. So our Gaylord's hoping to open on the 25th. So I think things are moving forward, and hopefully if we don't have an uptick in infection rates, we'll be able to stay on that track.
Yeah. Well, for me, so I had just started my travel advising business, and so you can imagine how well that's gone. Yeah. So just trying to stay positive. I have clients, I have folks that reach out to me, they want to travel, and their expectations, I've always had to deal with like what folks' expectations are for when they're traveling. And so sometimes I'll find the place that they want to go to, and I'm like, yes, you can go there, but please understand, like, once you get there, you're in your room the whole time. That's just how it is right now. And so it's been a lot of having those conversations where I'm like, I know you want to support me. I know you're like ready to get out and go somewhere. It doesn't make sense to travel internationally, or even to another state. So I've really started trying to focus on promoting, staycations and getting people out into their own backyard, which I would really love. I was going to actually ask you, Genevieve, if you all are doing any packages or anything like that, because I have a bunch of folks.
Yeah, I'll email it to you too.
Okay.
We're doing a bunch of stuff. I'm surprised you're not on my mailing list, but we're doing this one just came out. We just sent an email today about it, actually. It's our steamy lobster date night package. We are
Nice.
we did this. We kind of did this weird thing, which is really cool, and it's definitely one of our pivot points. But we opened up a restaurant on our event center patio that just does, like, we literally fly in live lobsters from Maine every weekend, and and we do like this East Coast style lobster seafood themed restaurant. We do like lobster rolls and lobster mac and cheese and scallops and crab legs. And so we're doing a package that is a night at the hotel, dinner for two, like a lobster dinner for two, and a bottle of wine for $229 a night. It's like stupid cheap.
Oh, wow.
Like our hotel is usually $300 a night this time of year. So
please send that to me, because I
will.
actually have like 3 or 4 couples that have been asking for.
And then if they book. Yeah, and if they book like shoulder, dates on either side, we can work on, like, if especially if I'm working with you, I can work on a rate for them too.
Okay.
So that's still like inexpensive, because we're kind of doing like a secret local deal. If people say that they're local, we give them our good neighbor rate, which is our 20% off rate. So it's not something that we're like heavily promoting. Yeah, mostly because we don't want to put it on the website, because you don't know if people are actually from Colorado that are booking it.
Yeah.
So so it's really just something you have to like say on the phone, like, oh, hey, I'm in Colorado. So
thank you for telling me. Yeah. And the same, Justin, too, with Aurora. If you all ever hear of anyone doing something similar to like what the Hotel Bolderodo's doing, especially the Gaylord too, once they reopen, let me know.
I definitely will. They will have some promos like that, and some of our other hotels are doing similar things. I will say I'm a little jealous. Genevieve's offer sounds pretty darn nice.
I mean,
you guys are welcome to come.
I might use it for myself, because I'm I need
Sydney, you're a planner, so you also you might get. I might even do something else for you. So just let me. Sorry, Justin, I love you, but I can't pass you off as a planner. So
hey, I do referrals once in a while.
But I mean, any other time. Right now, we need every penny. It's harder because we need, we really need every penny that we can get. We are doing, and Sydney, we're doing another. I keep calling you Cindy because we have a Cindy here.
That's okay.
But we're doing another package that is like we're calling it the Exploring Boulder package, and it's actually the same as the team building package that I'm doing for small meetings as far as like the partnerships. But basically you get like a night, and then there's a paddle boarding option, and there's a fly fishing option, which you and I did together. So it holds a little special place in my heart. Yes. And then, and then there's a bike tour where we actually use the electric bikes over at Pedigo. So it's like great for, people of all different abilities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're doing that, and I'm also doing one for small meetings. So, if you do hear of anybody who's coming with like small corporate groups, it includes like a half-day meeting.
Okay.
And I'll send you, I can't remember the pricing, but I'll send it to you. Okay. But it starts out pretty low. It starts at like, I want to say like $199 or $209 or something a person for the day, and that includes like food and beverage. Doesn't include the room for the meeting planner thing though.
Well,
Yeah,
send me everything you have, and that's, you know, this local information is what I want to be getting out to my clients.
Yeah.
Most of them are based in Colorado. And that's something too, just for you all, you know, there are still there are still some of us out there hanging on as travel.
Yeah, thank God.
So I'll make sure to pass it on to my network of advisors. The host agency I'm with, we have a Facebook group with like 30,000 people or something. So I'm always happy to share, you know, flyers and promotionals and whatnot, and say, hey, I know these people, like this is a great facility, check it out. Share with your clients. So I'm happy to get the info out that way too.
Yeah.
Anything I can do to support.
Thank you. So Justin, have you guys been doing anything like special as far as, are you guys kind of focusing on the same thing, like in-state travelers?
Yeah, we have a big marketing
It's
campaign.
hard because of the Gaylord, we know.
Yeah, no, we have a big campaign. It's in the can right now, and it should, you know, we're just kind of waiting on conditions to be right to kind of let that loose. But no, we're going to really be focusing on local Colorado drive range kind of business. You know, we still have deployment with some national sales team too, but as you can imagine, there's not a lot of associations out of DC booking meetings right now.
What?
I know. So
Sydney, have you been traveling at all yourself?
No, I have not. I have within the state, but not outside of the state.
I'm just curious because I know that you are like such an avid traveler.
Yeah, it's been really hard because I have family members that are high risk. And so, believe me, my travel bug, I'm like, sometimes I'm just so sad, especially as I put quotes together for people. I'm like, take me with you, please. Want to leave. But I love the state. So we do have plans. We're going to go up to Grand Lake and do some stuff up there. And, you know, I plan to go out towards Durango and do the train and come to Boulder and visit you, Genevieve, I promise.
Yay!
So yeah, so we'll be doing a lot of staycationing and promoting the great state of Colorado. I also too have had to pivot as well as like taking on more like consulting, like how I help put this event together, and I started doing some coaching too. So I'm in the middle of a coaching certification. So whatever I can do to stay as an entrepreneur, that's what I'm going to do legally.
What about you, Justin? Are you how have you been feeling about like just general comfort level getting out in the world? And
you know, I'm actually,
just because I know you guys, I feel like I can ask.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty comfortable. My wife and I were taking a trip to Cannon Beach in July.
Nice.
Had the opportunity. We're going to do it, and you know, there's potential some work travel coming up. You know, we just in our office, we've just kind of made the decision that if we're going to ask other people to come here, we better be willing to get on a plane ourselves and go someplace. So
yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, we'll go to some industry shows. Probably, it's looking like maybe August will be the first ones we'll go out to.
That's the hard part too, is that I know I need to, in order to show up for my clients, to say like, hey, it's safe to travel, I need to get out there and actually be traveling myself. And so that's been one of the hardest things, to figure out, okay, what can I do? Where I can,
It's really hard though. I mean, we had some employees that we had to lay off, unfortunately, and you know, they meet in a little social group with some other folks, and I think just last week they had a person that tested positive, so now everybody's and it's just, you're always taking that risk when you go out and meet people or travel, so it is scary.
How
All
about
right,
you,
I know we're
Genevieve?
supposed to.
Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Arizona this weekend, which I know is like the worst possible place, but we're going to Tucson and it's not that bad. So
Okay, I was about to say, you know, it's
Yeah.
like 120 right now. In
it's
Arizona.
only gonna get to like 104. Okay.
Only.
My husband has some
be so
family
pleasant.
there, so it was like it's kind of like a dual trip. But anyways, I'm like, really, we're going to Tucson, and that's like the main place that COVID is spiking. So, oh well, we'll be okay.
Well, and you'll be
So.
with family too.
Yeah, I mean, and we're staying in a little hotel, and we wear masks, and we social distance, and all that. So, I think we'll be fine. All right, bye.
All right,
Yeah.
bye. It was good
See you
talking
next
to
one.
you.
Good to see you guys.
Host has muted all participants. Oh, I didn't mean to mute everyone, but welcome back, everyone. The few that held on strong for the networking portion. Thank you all for coming. I just wanted to wrap up and say thank you for coming and for being a part of today's session. I definitely appreciate your time and investment in the tourism industry, and hopefully you got to meet some awesome folks and get some ideas. That's what today was all about, is just to kind of come together, especially since we've been so disjointed. Any last comments or concerns before we hop off? We're all good?
Thank you so much for organizing this, Sydney,
Oh,
who I
no.
keep calling Cindy today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, Good
Absolutely.
Business, GBC, they put this, I mean, it was all their idea. And actually one of your members requested it, right? This was on the request of a member. And so I was just happy to be able to help coordinate and facilitate, but it was definitely all GBC. So thanks to you guys at GBC for putting this together and for bringing me on to help with the project. I appreciate it.
Always a
Thanks
pleasure
for
to have
doing
you,
it.
Sydney. Thank you.
All right, bye everyone. Until next time.
Bye.
Make sure you save the chat. There's a save chat before everybody logs off. Instead of writing everything down.
Yeah.
On the far right of the bottom chat button, unless it's been, so you don't have to hurry up and handwrite everything.
No, thank you for reminding me. It's weird. It doesn't automatically save the chat. So thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it, Angela. It was good seeing you on here too. Thank you for being here.